Today I'm super excited because we're gonna build together the most complex dice roll application on the internet. We're gonna take the classic dice roll application, but we're gonna take it a lot of steps higher. I created all the graphics we are going to use on Photoshop and Illustrator, and they're available for a free download as always. So by clicking this button, we get an animation and the result, and also we get right here text that says all the dice rolls we have, and also we get the sound. I actually took real dice to record the sound. We got custom text every time you roll a 6, and another custom text every time you roll a 1, and some generic text every time you roll anything else in between. So as you can see, we'll use some very interesting stuff like frame-by-frame animation. We'll see how to optimize your JavaScript code so you don't have to write like a million lines. We'll talk a lot about color theory, and we will basically build everything from scratch. This lesson targets intermediate beginners, like you will have to know basic knowledge of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. We will not start from zero. However, I'm gonna be explaining to you everything on every step, and we're gonna type each line of code together. I honestly hope you are as excited as I am, because I do hear the music in the background, and this means only one thing: let's start building the ultimate dice roll application with JavaScript. So we have an idea to make a JavaScript project with a dice. The easiest way to brainstorm about the coding, like super fast, is to open Google Chrome. So what you can do is either right click and inspect. It's gonna open the developers tools, or you can click on these 3 dots and go to more tools and click developers tools here, or use the shortcut and go Ctrl+Shift+I. The best thing is to start using shortcuts, so I'm gonna close this and we're gonna do Ctrl+Shift+I, boom. So here we are on elements. This one you use it to debug the page you are viewing. So we will switch to sources and we're gonna click here, more tabs, and go to snippets. Here we have like empty projects. We don't have any snippets yet. We're gonna create one and we're gonna name it dice test. All right, so now we have one snippet, and here we can run JavaScript, and down here is the console that we can run stuff as well. So when I started learning JavaScript, I saw this method that they teach that you can come here and just write code, but I couldn't understand why we do it this way and we don't open something like VS Code, a coding editor, and go do it there. Like, what's the benefit of doing it here? Like, you're not gonna use what you write here anyways. But later on, I understood that this is the easiest way to brainstorm your code, because here you just run JavaScript directly. So if we go to VS Code, we would have to create HTML document, a JavaScript document, link the JavaScript to HTML, and save the file and open on a browser and run it. So it's time consuming. Here you just write some code and you run it immediately, and when you are good to go, then you can open VS Code. So this is why we do it this way. When I started, nobody explained these things to me, and I was thinking we are just wasting time here. But actually it's a good practice when you have the idea to sit down and start doing it, when you're still excited and you want to try things out and see how they go. And when you're sure that you have a good plan, then you open VS Code and you start coding. So the idea we have is a 6-sided die. So we'll start with a variable. We write var. I will name it D6 because I play D&D and this is the terminology we use there. We'll use a classic one, that's the math.random, open and close parentheses, multiplied by 6. And underneath, I'm just gonna console log D6 semicolon. And every time we press enter, we see some random numbers that they start from 0 point something and they end up to 5 point something. What we actually need for them is to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So if you Google for solutions about that, we can use something called math.ceiling. And in here we will include the math.random multiplied by 6. So if now we press play, we see 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, 2, and it's exactly what we needed. So what we actually said is take all these crazy numbers. Every time you have 0 point something, take it up to 1. If we write here math.floor, what we are going to get is numbers from 0 to 5 because it's going to run them down. So you could do here math.floor plus 1. I see a lot of people on the internet doing that. The reality is that we have math.ceiling. So this one is rounding up instead of rounding down. So you don't have to write plus 1. We can take it a step forward and in here write you rolled a plus the d6. And now if I press play, it says down here you rolled a 1, you rolled a 5, you rolled blah blah blah. So if we want to get creative, we can add something like if you roll a 1, you're a loser or something like that. So let's try that. We say if d6 triple equals 1, open brackets, console.log you are a loser, and we'll do else, open brackets, and we'll just keep doing what we did earlier. So let's play 4, 5, 4, 3, 6. You are a loser. So we rolled a 1 here, and we can also do else if. So we'll go else if d6 triple equals 6. We can write console.log you are a winner, and then let's cut this out and go in the end and put another else and paste it there. So here I wrote console with a capital C. You are a winner, so here we rolled a 6. So now that we found a nice base that our code is actually working, we can go on and open VS Code. And we already know that this is like our source code, the basic idea. And as we start building, we'll make it more complex and we're gonna end up with something amazing. Right here I have my portfolio folder and I'm gonna build everything in here. So in the end we will be free to upload it to our server. So holding on portfolio, we can create a new file. I'm gonna name it dice.html. I'm gonna use a dedicated CSS file for this project, which I'm gonna name again dice.css. And also I'm gonna have another one that's called dice.js, which is gonna be our JavaScript file. So very classically, we will go on and hit one exclamation point and hit enter. Title of documents, the ultimate Dice JavaScript project. So if you go on my website, click on tutorials, you can find the third project about the dice, and you can press the download assets button. We're gonna just download it here, all the files we're going to use. So we'll click on it and extract all. And here we have the sound MP3 that every time we click, we're gonna hear a dice sound. We have a project photo. We'll use this later when we add this project on our portfolio. And we also have 4 different variations of the photos we are going to use. One is mustard yellow, and we'll have dice from 1 to 6. These are the static results we're gonna get in the end when we press the button. And we also have frame 1 through 5. So this is gonna be our animation sequence. The next one is the red dragon. This is a very aggressive coloring. And we go on, we have velvet orchid, and last but not least, we have the deep night blue. This one is the one I'm gonna use for this tutorial. So let's copy this file and go to the file that we have our project. I'm gonna right click it and reveal in File Explorer. So inside the images folder, we have some files from previous projects. I'm gonna paste here the deep night blue, the one I'm going to use. Also, we'll get this photo that we're gonna use later, paste it right here. And we'll make another folder that's named sounds. And inside, I will put the MP3 we got here. Very nice. I will first go to Google Fonts because I wanna start linking stuff to our site. I already know the one I want, and it's this one. It looks a bit futuristic to me and I like it for this kind of projects. So I will only use the regular one. And the other one is a classic one. Everybody uses Roboto, of course. And on Roboto, we're gonna use the light one. And let's put a thick one as well, maybe this one. So we have here our links ready. We copy this for HTML, go back to VS Code, and right before our title on the meta tags, we can just paste it here. I want to click tab here to have everything in line. And also we can go on CSS and copy this one and just paste it here as a comment. By pressing Ctrl and slash, we can turn it into a comment and leave it here as a reminder. The last thing we have to do with links is go before our body and link the dice.js, which is going to be our JavaScript. And we open a script with source dot slash, and we open this file, we go dice.js, and we'll close it. Nice. So inside the body, we're gonna create some divs. One's gonna be the title. So I'll go ahead and write dot title and tab. Inside we're gonna have an h1. It's gonna be dynamic dice roll application. The next one is gonna have our photos. I'm gonna name it dot dice display, hit tab, and inside let's go on and put one photo as a sample. We open an image tag img. We're gonna give it a class name of photos because in here we're gonna be replacing other photos as well. And let's give a source for the first one. We'll go dot slash, we'll go on the images, and mine is the Deep Night Blue folder. I'm gonna use the Dice 6 as a preview when you just land on the page, and we just close it. Then we're gonna have a button that when you press it, you roll the dice and everything happens. I'm gonna name this one dot action button, and inside we're gonna do a button tag with a type of button, of course. And let's give it a class name. Let's find something crazy, because if you press play on this video, you are loco enough to follow these things, and we're gonna name it Rolito. Inside we're gonna write roll d6. So because every time we hit the button we want something to display the text, we're gonna name the last div text display tab, and inside we're gonna have a paragraph, the class name of line, and as a sample we're gonna write press the button to roll the dice. Let's see what we've done. Nice enough. Let's put a save here and go on CSS. As always, we start by targeting everything here and going margin 0 pixels, padding 0 pixels, and box sizing border box. Boom. Then we will grab the body. So this crazy font is going to be only on the title. Everything else will have the font family Roboto because it's simple and easy to read. So we'll go and assign it on the body. So I will grab this line, cut it and paste it here. And the next thing I want to do on the body is to give it a background color. So at this point I want you to go to Google and write complementary colors generator. I will click just the first one I see here. You can click whatever you want, but the one I click is called Canva. And if you go on the files we downloaded, you can see that I have the hex code of every color we used. For instance, I used the deep blue. I will copy this color code right here. If you used yellow or red or purple, you will have to go on and copy your own code. So here actually my base color is this one. You see the color wheel here? It shows me where is my color stands, and the complementary is on the other side of the color wheel. And we can go monochromatic, we can go analogous, which is the one I suggest us to use, and also it has like triadic and tetradic, like you have a square on the color wheel. So this is a great way if you are working on a project, either it's personal or from a company. You can put here the color code of their logo, the basic color, and then you can come in this site, and if you need like 4 different colors for some reason, you can use these ones, and you know already that they're gonna look great together. If you need just 3 colors, you can use this one, and if you want like opposite colors, you can go on complementary. If you want similar ones, you can go monochromatic. For now I'm gonna go on analogous, so I know the first one is the one I use. And according to what color you start with, I want you to choose like a lighter one, because this is kind of dark, as we said before. And for the background, I don't want something to be super dark as well. I think for this exercise, the best thing is to go on analogous and choose the lighter version of the other two. So for me, my background color is gonna be this one. I just copy it by clicking it, and we go here and we just paste it. And I just realized I forgot to link my CSS. We linked only JavaScript back here. So if you catch up and you already linked your CSS, congratulations. So if not, follow me along with this one, and we write link rel style sheet type text / CSS, and finally href./dice CSS, and we'll close the tag. Here I see an error because I have double quotes. Actually, I wrote outside the quotes this thingy, so we'll just correct that and save. All right, so here we can continue by adding color, which is gonna be basically a text color. We're gonna just put white, very simple stuff. Let's grab our H1, and we're gonna use this line right here, Control X to cut it, so we can also delete these two lines, and we just paste it here with one tab. We're gonna use the thin one because it's too boldy for some reason. Font weight 1000, way better, and let's add a font size of 2 rem. Next one, let's go on the photo and give it some styling, but because this photo is gonna be changing, that's why we create here a class. It's called photos. We apply the style on this class, and all the photos are gonna be inside here. They're gonna be using the same thing universally. So we'll go dot photos, and let's give it some border radius of 30 pixels and some shadow. We write box shadow. If you want, you can go on and write this comment. The first number we're gonna put is if we wanna have our shadow moved to the right or to the left, offset X. I don't, so we'll go 0 pixels. The second is up or down. I'm gonna put just 2 pixels here. The third one is blur radius, because our shadow, it's right now, you see, if I put here like something else like 7, you see how it looks like solid. So the first one is to have some blurriness on the fade out to make it look like a shadow actually. And here we're gonna put 5 pixels, way better. So this one, let's put it back to 2. And the last one is the color. Now it's white for some random reason. If you put 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, it's gonna be black. Hex code. So next, of course, is the button. What you would normally do is to just Google some button CSS styling, and you just copy the one you like, and you start changing values from there. But however, I have mine ready, and you can just follow it if you wanna. So this is the only button we are using, so we can just go globally and write button, and we're going display, inline block, padding 15 pixels up and down, 25 pixels right and left, font size 1 rem, smaller than the title of course. Cursor, right now the cursor does nothing when we go inside. I want to turn into a hand, so we'll go cursor pointer. Let's see. Nice. We'll go background color, can use this blue, border none. Nice. Color, this is for the text white. Border radius 15 pixels. For the box shadow, we can just copy the same one as up there. Maybe instead of blue, we should use this code to have some unified look. I guess it makes more sense, and this is way better. And one thing I want to do also is on hover. So we'll go button hover, and we'll go background color. So I can go on monochromatic and copy this code here and use it on hover. Yay! So kind of the last thing to really style is the text display that I want to have here, thingy that displays all the text. And so let's go dot text display. Let's give it some height, 200 pixels, background color white, color for the text. So here I think I will use the background color that we have on the body. So let's copy that. Nice. Font size 1 rem, border radius 30 pixels. Now you see that the text is kind of hidden, so we'll also give it some padding of 30 pixels as well, exactly the same as the border radius. And I just noticed that all of those need one tab. Awesome. Box shadow, classically we're gonna just copy the same one, have them unified. Okay, we're kind of right here. The thing is that everything is on top of each other, and this is the layout we're going to use for mobile. Let's go mobile first then and finish up with the styles here. We'll grab the dot title, give it display flex, and justify content center. Let's give it some padding, 15 pixels universally. We go on the button dot action button, same things, display flex. Actually, we're gonna use the same things for the button as well, so we can just add it here. We'll go comma class action button. Let's copy that, dot action button. Very nice. Let's go on the photos. It's a dice display dot dice display, and so right now this photo gets hidden if we have a smaller display. So we can go on the photos and give it a width of 100%. So okay, now we are not seeing the photo hiding, it just adjusts, but I don't want to be like that huge, so we'll go and give it a max width of 250 pixels, and we'll do a hack here to center it. We'll go margin 0 pixels and auto. Nice. So yeah, the photo of the dice doesn't have to be that huge. We have to have some space for the text display, but also let's add here some margin because it's touching the corners at the moment. 15 pixels, I think it's gonna be all right. So now looks like we are super ready for the mobile. So basically on the screens, what we want to do is grab these ones and move them on the left, and grab that one and bring it on the side. Can even get a little bit bigger. So this is the basic structure of what we have. The best solution, I guess, is to use a display grid in order to have full control of all these elements and tell each one of them where exactly to stand. Yeah, so we'll go on here on HTML and we'll grab all of these divs. Let's give them one tab because we're going to wrap them inside a grid container. So we'll go on and write dot grid container tab. We'll get the closing tab and we'll close it right here. So we can go in here and do split right, and we'll have on one side the HTML, on the other side the CSS, and we can open this on browser, right click inspect. So I think around here it's going to be alright to keep the mobile version. So I will stop it on 750, and as we go higher than this, that will have a lot of empty room right and left, we can do the resize. So back to CSS, we'll add a media query here. We'll go add media, we open parentheses, and we'll go min width 750 pixels. So in here we will grab the dot grid container, we'll give it a display grid, and we'll give it a grid template columns, because basically the columns is the one that I'm gonna emphasize, and the rest of them, they will just occupy the height that they have to occupy. So here I want to give it like approximately 0.4 fractions for the first one and 1 fraction for the second one. You can go ahead and give it percentages. These ones look like they work for me, and the grid template rows, I don't have to touch it, they're gonna be set automatically. So I'll go and grab the dot title now. We want the title to occupy all this line. So we'll go grid columns. We'll start it from 1 and we'll end it on 3. How we do that is very simple. We just go grid column and we say you start at 1 / you end at 3. That's it. Very simple. So let's save this, close this, and see what we did. Don't worry that everything looks broken. We're gonna fix everything very soon. We have only set the title at the moment, so looking the title looks great because it does occupy the whole line. Then let's grab the dice display dot dice display. So this one we want to start on grid column 1 and grid row 1, 2. I will just give him the starting ones, and because it's one piece, it will end up right there. So let's do that. Grid column 1 and grid row 2. Next we have the action button, and we'll go dot paste action button. So this one we want it to start on row 1, 2, 3 and column 1. Let's go and set it. Grid row 3. Here I'm missing a semicolon. Let's put it. And I'll go grid column 1. And we're left with the text display dot text display. So this one we want it to start on column 1, 2 and end up on 3. And on the rows we start at 1, 2 and end up on 3, 4. Let's write them down. Grid column from 2 until 3. So we write 2/3 and a grid row 2/4. Let's save it and refresh. Woo! We are kinda good. I just wanna do some finishing touches here. Like, let's make this one taller. Let's go on and give it height 450 pixels. So we'll occupy all this space, and this one we can make it bigger, and this we're gonna fix. And also all the text we can make it bigger as well now that we have all this space for us to use. So on text display, let's go font size from 1 that we were before to 1.5 rem. Let's grab the H1 and give it font size of 3 rem, and we'll go on Dice display and make it bigger. So we'll give it a max width of 350, and let's go margin 15 pixels and auto. Better. On action button, we'll give it align self start. Nice. And let's try also to go margin top minus 80 pixels. Better. So now we are finally ready. We have our application set from mobiles until large screens. Everything works very nice. One last small thing that I just noticed is that on the left side we have more free space, on the right side we don't. So let's fix just that, and we'll just go on text display and give it margin right. Let's try 45 pixels. Way better. So clicking this button does nothing right now, but finally it's this time of the day to go on and write some JavaScript. Because we want everything to happen when we click the button, we'll go on and write var sound equals document dot query selector. Here we'll use the dot rolito that we named back there, and of course we have to wrap it on these things. And then we go sound dot add event listener when we want to happen on click, of course. So we go click comma function, open and close parentheses and open brackets. So in here we'll use the new audio. I think I put the sounds inside the images. Let's take it out because it's not correct. We have to have them outside the images because it's not an image. So we'll place it here, and we'll go dot slash sound slash dice sound dot mp3. We'll go outside the parentheses and press dot play. 2 parentheses. Let's try this thing. Nice. So let's create a function. I'm gonna name it roll dice, and inside we're gonna use the var random, exactly as we did in the beginning of the video on Chrome. Technically I can just go over here again, and we said the shortcut is Ctrl+Shift+I, and I can find right here my code. So I'll just copy all this. Boom. So in here we will get a random number from 0 to 5, but because we do math ceiling, we're gonna have it from 1 until 6. So now what I want to do is every time I roll 1, I want to go in here and change the photo from dice 6 to dice 1. Every time I roll 2, I want it to change the photo to the dice 2 JPEG, and so on and so forth until 6. One way to do it, it's like the simplest way, is to use ifs, exactly like we did right here. And we said if d6 equals 1. Here we'll say, of course, if random equals 1. Go on and change this photo to dice 1. We can do a simple example here. So in order to change the photo with ifs, we could go if random equals 1. We would like to change this source, so we would go document query selector dot photos dot set attribute source, and we would change from source the image path. Let me copy this at the moment, from image 6 to dice 1 JPEG. So let's also console log random, and what is left to do is to call this function in here, so it's running every time we press the button. Let's see what we've done. I said random here, it's random. So we'll roll the 2, 5, 4. Let's say give me a 1. Woo! The moment we rolled a 1, this changed. So if we continue with if else, and blah blah blah, this way it's going to work. But imagine it took us like 3 lines of code in order to set it for 1. So we'll do something different to have a shorter code, because imagine if we had a 20-sided die here, you would have to write all this thing 20 times. So let's remove all these things here, delete this. So in this roll dice function, we have the random. So what we are going to do is add another variable, and I'm gonna name it image path. So this image path, we're gonna grab from here until the word dice. Then we're gonna say plus this number right here, which is the random, copy random, plus what is left over here, dot JPEG. So this way, every time we roll something, the path of this photo is going to change dynamically. Let's set it up. So we'll go document dot query selector all. We'll grab dot photos dot for each and function. Let's put photo inside. Actually, let's bring it over here. Open brackets, and we'll go photo dot set attribute source comma image path. So let's call this function in here. And of course here I wrote SCR instead of SRC. I don't know why I always do this thing. If you followed my mistake, just correct it. So let's refresh here. Whoa. So now every time I press, the photo is changing. What else we want to do is in here, every time we roll something, to display the information. So we'll add another var. I'm gonna name it line message, and let's try with ifs now. So I want to say if random equals 1, line message equals I'm sorry you rolled a 1, else if random equals 6, line message equals great job you rolled a 6, and for all the other possible outcomes we go else line message equals you rolled a space, and then we go outside and we press plus a random, which is going to be this number right here, whatever it rolls, plus we'll just add a dot. Let's see what we've done now. So now we'll go again, document query selector all. Let's copy all this, open parentheses, we'll go dot line, we'll go again for each, dot for each, function line, open brackets, line dot inner HTML equals line message. Save and let's try it. I'm sorry you rolled a 1. Great job, you rolled a 6. You rolled 5. You rolled 2. Now the only difference is that these new lines replacing the old ones. I want them to stay here so I can see my progress, whatever I rolled all over. So how to fix this? You go in front of the equals and you press plus equals. Let's hit save, refresh, and let's try again. So now it adds, but it adds in the same line. It's super easy to fix this. We'll just go in front of its sentence and we'll add one BR, and we're gonna copy it, paste it here and paste it here. Let's save and try again. Refresh. Woo! This is great. So the only problem now, when we pass this height, everything gets like down, because we have now the same color. You couldn't see them, but they just pass this height we have as maximum and they roll all the way down. We'll have to fix this as well, and the way to do this is to add a scroll bar. So we'll go back to CSS, we'll find text display, dot text display here, and we do overflow auto, save. Let's see what this is doing. So you see now we have this bar, scroll bar, and it keeps everything inside. One other problem I have though, is that every time I roll the button, the new lines are hiding. I can't see what's going on. I would like the scroll bar to follow the new lines and move down every time I press this button. There is a way to do this through JavaScript. So we'll go back to JavaScript here. Let's copy this whole line, paste it right here. And I'm gonna change some stuff. Instead of dot line here, I'm going to target dot text display, and then we'll have a for each function. Let's name it, instead of line text display. So in here we go text display dot scroll top equals text display dot scroll height. Control C. Let's go here, refresh, and now every time we roll, the scroll bar just keeps automatically going to the new line. Woo! This is way better than before. One small thingy I wanna do actually, is give the emphasis on the numbers, because the people that scroll, they are supposed to keep an eye on these numbers. So I want to create a span right here. I have to close it in the end. Let me copy this. Maybe on the 6 instead of a dot we can do exclamation point. Close it here, and then we'll open a last one. This one is a bit tricky. We'll have to open it here and close it on the other way, all the way to the end here. And now we'll have to go somewhere on our CSS and just write span, font weight 700. Save. Way better. Now actually what left to do is to do the animation that we promised. It's called frame by frame animation. So we have these 5 frames, and we're gonna set through JavaScript and say every time I press the button, go and run frame 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in the end go and run all the other functions that we've set. We're gonna use a document query selector all and for each. So I wanna just copy this line over here. Let's set it on the top. I'm gonna delete this var and name the whole thing here dot rolito, and then we'll go for each function. Let's use here the button. Let's close it here. Then we'll go button dot add event listener on click, comma function, and in here we can add the new audio. So this is, we don't really need it anymore. So let me check here. I think we are missing this. Okay, and we'll get this function right here. We're gonna cut this thing and paste it in here. All right. In order to start with animation, we're gonna add some variables. One, we're going to name it frame interval, and let's put a number of 150. I think it's milliseconds, these ones. And let's add some comments, because if you come here after 3 months, you will have no idea what this is. And let's write time between each frame in milliseconds. The next one, var frames equals 5, and this is the number of frames in the animation, because maybe one day you will have a different animation with like 3 frames or 10 frames, so you will know how to use the same code in order to adapt it on your next project. And let's add another one, var current frame, which is going to start from 0, and this is a variable that we're going to use in order to keep track of the current frame. Let me write this. So now the magic happens. Let's say var animation interval equals set interval, and this is going to be a function open brackets. So in here we're going var frame image path equals. So here let's open the HTML a little bit as well, because we're going to set the image source, and we'll need kind of this path. I'll copy from here until here. So var frame image path equals this, but this one's instead of dice 1 2 3 4 5 6, they are frame 1 2 3 4 5. So I will go here slash frame, and let's close it and go plus, and here we're going to use the current frame count, but because it's 0 we'll do +1, current frame +1. I'm gonna add parentheses here if it's better for you visually, plus dot jpg. So this is the automation for the images frame 1 2 3 4 5. So now we go document query selector all dot photos, and we go dot for each function photo, and we go photo dot set attribute, which is going to be source, comma frame image path. After that we have to write current frame plus plus. So we start with current frame 0, then we go 1, and it loops with the for each here. I will go like frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4, frame 5. So in order to get out of the loop, we have to say if current frame is bigger or equal to frames, which is this one. Now we have it set on 5, clear interval, animation interval. So this actually says stop the animation after all frames have been shown. And what we want to do next is to roll finally this function. You see that kind of gray. I'm gonna call it here. So after you run all the animation, call this function and blah blah blah. We can even write here, proceed to roll the dice and display result. So here we have to add just comma, frame, interval, close. I think this is extra. And something is wrong here. Let me find it out. Here we have the if, and we didn't close this function over there. So this is just the if right here, and this that is red has to close over here. So now we are good, hopefully. Let's put a save. You never know with these things. And the thing is that we wrote a lot of code and we didn't test it, which is kind of bad. But let's see. We press the button. Woo! We have the animation running, and immediately after, the rest of the code is triggered. We have the sound in the beginning, parallel with the animation. Everything works perfectly. So guys, I think we did a very good job today. We kind of had to spend half of the time on CSS. So I think we just built one of the best dynamic dice roll applications of the internet. And to be honest, I want you after this to sit down and brainstorm, because you have all these different colors, and try your own to do some crazy stuff. Like some idea is to bring another color of dice somewhere. Let me show you. We can take this and move it somewhere on the side. So we can do like player 1 and player 2. You can even have a drop down menu and have from player 1 to player 2, player 3 and player 4, and use some crazy ideas. And what else I want to show you, actually, it's let's go to ChatGPT. As you saw, we had to use document.query selector all the time. It's very annoying when you are trying to write something. I would suggest you can just copy all this code that we just wrote, go to ChatGPT, paste the code, and you can turn this JavaScript code into jQuery, enter. And actually this is what it's doing right here. And I want you to put them together side by side and see how cool jQuery is, how fast you can do. Like instead of writing all these very long lines, you just put the $sign. You put the $sign and you write Rolito, and for each function you write each. So everything is way faster and way easier. Look at all these characters we had to write up here, and you end them up right here, way faster. The only thing is that we have to add this script in the end, like to link jQuery. It's kind of similar of how you do with Bootstrap. So you have to copy this line right here and paste it on the bottom of your HTML. But to be honest, this video is made for beginners, and if I made it in jQuery, a lot of people would just skip it because they haven't entered jQuery yet. But it's very weird because jQuery, I think, is way more beginner friendly. Maybe it would be wise to start with jQuery, because if you see this, it makes more sense and it's way faster and way easier to remember than all this document.query selector all. You can do this, and you can also write to ChatGPT to explain to you all the changes, and it's gonna do it very nicely. And if you already know jQuery, I'm sorry I didn't start with this. I guess it would be way more fun for me as well, trust me. Yeah, the thing is that usually when you do this dice exercise, you don't know jQuery yet. This is how it goes, so I go with the flow. Yeah, and brainstorm more ideas how you can take all the things we did now. We took the classic dice roll that it's usually just one image, and you press a button and you have one image. We added sound inside, we added animation, we added a board that has all your results. So we took it to the next level, but the thing is that it doesn't stop here. You can move it on the next level of the next level, take more advantage of all these files you have here and do some crazy stuff. So if you want to do extra stuff and you don't really know how, or you find a wall in front of you, just copy your code, go to ChatGPT. This is my code, I'm trying to do that. How can I do this? And it's gonna give you suggestions. So one problem with YouTube comments is that it will not allow you to paste your link and show us the crazy projects you made. So you can come here on tutorials under this tutorial and leave a comment on my website, and you can put your link here and people can view what you did and be impressed by your creations. Last thing I want to do is for you guys that have already your portfolio, we have to add this on our portfolio page and upload it to the server. We will go back to index.html and we'll find the first project. First project is this one. Let's open actually on a browser, and we're going to set our first project right here, which is going to be the dice thingy. The first thing we're going to change is this photo, so let's do it. We'll go here on the images and we're going to put, it's actually this photo we put right here. It's called project photo dice. Let's set it here. Nice. We're going to change the title, dynamic dice roll application. href is going to be this one, the dice.html, and we just have to write a small sentence here. I used HTML, CSS and JavaScript in order to create this dynamic dice roll application using sounds and frame by frame animation techniques. Yeah, I think that's good. And I think all these ones, project 2, project 3, project 4, this HR actually we don't really need it. We can delete it and turn all the rest of them into a comment. So we have project 2, 3 and 4 as a comment, and we have only online the project 1. Let's press save here, refresh, visit project. Woo! Very nice. So the last thing left to do is to go and update the files on the server. If you missed it, we have a dedicated tutorial that you can watch on how to set up your server and upload all your files there. Now the only thing we have to do is to update the files. We'll go on Site Tools, and on the site we'll go on File Manager. We will click on the public HTML and we'll start uploading the files here. So we'll grab Dice CSS, upload file, Dice HTML, upload file, Dice JavaScript. Also, we will replace the index HTML because we did changes on them, and overwrite to replace the existing one. And then we'll go upload folder. We can grab the sound folder and just upload it. Upload. Nice. And we can also grab the whole file of the images, press upload, and the existing files we can just press override. So we have all the images updated. So now we can just visit our site. If you still see the old one, you can go on speed and caching, dynamic cache and flash cache. Refresh. Boom. We have a new portfolio item here, and by visit we can just use the new application. So everything is online. You can send it to your friends and get some feedback. Ta-da! And if you made it this far in the video and you appreciate the projects, please consider donating something. Even £1 means too much for me. You can just press add to cart, and then either you use PayPal or proceed to checkout. For those of you that made it this far, I have to give you massive congratulations and tell you that I'm super proud of you and I can't wait to see all your creations. Thank you very much for following this tutorial, and I will see you guys on the next one.